Yeah, let's get it started. And yeah, so our first question here is from Profleur, and this is a general advice question. It wasn't about anything specific in the game per se, but I'm gonna read it out for you guys. So he says, or they say, don't assume gender, okay. Hello, I'm new to speedrunning in general, and I'm not 100% sure what method is best for me to use to practice games yet, but I find that I struggle with very simple mechanics. For example, jumping off of the log in Bianco 2, I can very rarely do. Can you explain that part? I know you have a guide, but you tend to just stay quiet during the parts that I struggle with a bit. Struggling with things like this also makes me just want to give up. Is this normal? So there is a little part about Bianco 2 in there. I will address that in a second. But first, I'm going to talk about the main part of this question, which is how to practice speedrunning and how to stop yourself from getting demotivated. So, yeah, I think that it's really important when you decide to speedrun a game that you're you're comfortable with the game, right? So Super Mario Sunshine for me, it was my first speed game, so I'm gonna take that as an example. Hey, how topical. It was a game that I played a lot as a kid. It wasn't necessarily my first game or anything, but you know, it's a game that I enjoyed a lot and I played it a lot, so you know, I knew how to play the game, I was comfortable with the controls, and that helps a lot. So what I see a lot, and I don't know if that's the case for Profleur, but I see that people, will have never played a game before, and then they'll pick it up and they'll immediately try to speedrun it. And if you do that, you're most likely going to run into some trouble, unless you're experienced with similar games. Because for a game like Sunshine specifically, the controls are quite hard to master, actually. And I think that's the important thing, most important thing. Like, that's what you should be focusing on first, is just getting used to the controls. That's super important, and you really can't do without that. And then, even when you know how to use the controls, they're still, like, just getting better at the movement. Like, you can complete Super Mario Sunshine casually, but even if you can do that, that doesn't translate very well into speedrunning per se. So I'm gonna switch over to the game right now, like so. All right, let's get the audio going. Bam. All right, so how to practice this game? As you can see, I'm in the plaza right now, and the plaza is honestly the most important place in this game if you're just starting out. And you might think that that doesn't really make sense because, you know, you barely do anything in the plaza in the any percent run. But the thing is, the plaza is a great playground to just play around with the controls. So, and you'll see me do this really often when I'm warming up. I'll just be like messing around with movement here, and if you find that, you know, like Profleur said in his question, you're having a lot of trouble with things that are supposed to be easy, then you probably need to get used to the controls. So let's say that you're completely new at this game, alright, what are you gonna do? Okay, you're just gonna practice stuff. So, Bianco 2 is the example, right? So at the start of Bianco 2, you need to do a hover slide. So you just gotta, like, practice hover slides a bit. And you don't have to do them the fastest way possible. Like, something that's common for a lot of new players, if you do a hover slide, you just do it like this. But just figure out what works for you, what you can do, and just do that for like an hour, and I guarantee that's gonna help a lot. And, you know, just experiment with everything. Like, do some wall kicks, do some spin jumps. Try and do some spin jumps without going in the wrong direction, because that's a very common thing, is where people do speedruns and they just tend to go in the wrong direction. And it's hard. Speedruns, wow. Speedruns are also hard, but spin jumps are hard. And they're definitely not easy. So yeah, that's pretty much like, my general tips, and when it comes to practicing, make sure you get the practice codes. They are on the forums on speedrun.com, on the Sunshine leaderboards. I can pull up the link in a second, if you guys want me to. If someone else can do that for me, that would be very nice. And just don't try to go overboard. Don't try to learn strats that are way above your skill level. You can do that if you want, but it's just gonna take you a long time and it won't be enjoyable. So yeah. Now I'm gonna show the Logjump, which is what Proflor was asking about specifically. And it's actually pretty common for people to run into some issues for this. Let me save my position. But it's really not that hard. Alright, so what you want to do, like, you want to do a hover slide, but you don't have to do a fast one, like I said. So you can just do this, right? So you just hover backwards a bit, get a hover slide, okay. And then what you want to do, you want to start holding R. You don't have to hold it all the way, but it doesn't really matter if you do. I prefer not to. As you can see on the input display, when that red light lights up on the trigger, that means I'm fully pressing it, so that's like this click, if you can hear that, just for clarity's sake. You don't have to hold it all the way, but it doesn't really matter. So you want to start holding it while you're still on this slope. And what that will do is it will cause you to hover immediately, so you lose some speed, and losing some speed makes it a lot easier to get the log jump. So this is for beginners. Obviously, if you're an advanced player, you want to hover later because it's faster. But yeah, you just want to hold R, and then you just hover, land, and jump. That's really all there is to it. There's like nothing really complicated going on, but yeah, you have to stop hovering, obviously. Otherwise, you're just gonna hover over the log. And you just need to get used to the timing. Like, this is one of those things, it's very important. It's an important part of Bianco Hills. You're just gonna have to put in some time to get used to it. You can, like, kind of aim for the far, like, for this far end of the log in order to give yourself some more time. You can actually see that I'm missing it because I'm not used to doing it this way. And that goes to show, like, it might be relatively easy, but it's definitely not the easiest thing in the world. But yeah, that's really all there is to say about Logjump. Just take it slow, practice it a bunch, use the practice codes if you can get your hands on them, because they are very, very useful. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on this one. So, right, let me pull up the link for the practice codes, and while I do that, if you guys have any questions that are related to the things that I just explained in the past few minutes, let me know. I'll pull up the link. Let me find it real quick. Oh, Kami, the reason that the plaza was weird is because I'm using practice codes. Alright, let's see. So, the practice codes are on the forum, like I said. And here is the link. So this forum post that I just linked in chat, that has the most up-to-date version of the codes, and it also has pretty much all the information that you need in order to use them. How do you jump on the rope instead of the log? Okay, I guess that's pretty related. You do a Y turn, so whenever you're in the air, you can press Y and enter, like, this camera mode, and you can turn around in the air just fine, so you can use that to redirect your jump. And that's what you have to do to get on the rope. Now, this is a strat for Bianco 5. So, that's what you do. It's a lot harder than regular log jump, and this is definitely not a strat that I recommend for beginners. So, while you're hovering to the log, you start your spin, and then you press A and Y at the same time when you reach the log, instead of just pressing A. And then it's just a matter of turning the control stick so that you end up on the rope. It's pretty finicky, something that you have to practice, but yeah, that's pretty much how you do it. Alright, let's see. Ariel, can you buffer the spin jump when landing after a double jump? I'm not sure what you mean by that and how it's related to this. There's no real double jump involved here. Like, you double jump on the log, but this is a triple jump. This isn't a spin jump, so there's nothing that you need to buffer here. You just need to press A when you land. If that's what you were wondering. But yeah, there's no spin jump here, just to do log jump. Oh, I messed it up again. How do you jump off the grass on the right side instead of the log? I'm not gonna cover that right now. That's only for Bianco 4. So you can ask me about that later in the Q&A session, and I can try to explain it, but that's a very hard strat, and I really don't recommend it for most players. It's about a second faster, though. I can tell you that right now. It's about a second. Well, Templar, you shouldn't spin jump there. Yeah, Ariel, it's a triple jump. It's pretty easy to see, right? So, like, in a triple jump, Mario will be doing flips instead of spinning. Sometimes it can be hard to tell when it's, like, a triple jump dive. Like, if I do a triple jump dive, you won't be able to see Mario spinning or flipping. And it looks like the same as a spin jump dive. But yeah, in that case, direct your attention to the input display in the case of my gameplay. And yeah, otherwise, of course, feel free to ask. Alright.